Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Ooh, my cheeks are red. It's hot in the hoop house today. Let me tell you, it's in the high 80s outside the hoop house, and then you get in there, it's pushing 95, 100 degrees, even though it's about 5 o'clock at night right now. It's hot in there, and I need to do some work in there, but I am going to wait until first thing in the morning when it's a little cooler out, because I can't do that anymore. It's pretty hot in there. So I've got a lot of things going on right now. I've got bugs, I've got blight, I've got beans, and this garden is getting into full swing right now. I had some issues getting started with my garden this year with some pests. The raccoons got in here, and they're still getting in here. And I think the biggest mistake that I made in my garden this year is that right there. Putting my compost bin in my garden. Probably not the best idea, because if I throw weeds and such in there and greens and old leaves and stuff, they don't care. If I throw my eggshells in there or any kitchen scraps, they are over this fence and they are in the garden, and then they just have wreaked havoc in my garden. So you can see behind me, I finally have my Jerusalem artichokes starting. I planted those things, I should say I replanted those things probably about 6 times before the raccoons finally left them alone, and I'm surprised that I have any left at all. They didn't eat them, they just kept digging them up, and it was really frustrating. It's like, come on guys. Of course, they're right next to the compost bin where I've been throwing all my eggshells. Of course, there's not any eggshells left because they've eaten everything that I have thrown in there. So word of warning, don't put your compost bin right next to your garden or in your garden inside your fence. So definitely gonna have to do some pest mitigation here at some point. And that might just be in the form of just don't throw kitchen scraps in that compost bin. You save it for the weeds, and whatever else just comes out of the garden that they're not gonna really care about. So they got into a bunch of my flower pots. They tipped them over, they got into them, they ate all the catnip, much to the cat's dismay. They weren't happy with that. And I have to go through all of my potatoes tomorrow morning and get all of the bugs off again. That's been a never-ending battle with those potato beetles. I keep trying to get on them right away in the early season, and I think I get them all, and then all of a sudden one day there's 1,000 of them on there. So that's another thing to do in the morning. So just an update as to what's going on with us a little bit. I have been working a little bit different job, and I know I haven't been on YouTube much because I don't have any time anymore. I've been pretty spoiled over the last several years of working 2 days a week. Yeah, we work 24-hour shifts, and some people say, oh, that's a lot. But when you work 24-hour shifts, you only work 2 days a week, and then you have a lot of free time. And now I'm kind of more on a Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday kind of position. So I'm still trying to adjusting a little bit to that, and trying to figure out how I'm going to do things like all my preserving. And my beans are getting ready. I just picked a bunch of beans and a lot of zucchini. The zucchini basket is so heavy I can't even lift it up. I think I have to go down and get a vehicle to get that back down to the house. So definitely have a lot to do, and I gotta use my time wisely now that I actually have off. So the garden's a little weedy. I'm gonna work on that slowly, but right now I'm not worried about that so much, because I'm picking stuff right now, and it's getting into preserving. And we've got chickens coming this weekend. Some friends of ours do our chickens for us, and it was just easier for us to actually have them do it. They do them all organically, and then sometimes if I'm available, I'll go help them do the butchering, and sometimes I'm not available, and sometimes I can't do it. But so on Monday, I will be getting my chickens. So I've got to get some of these beans canned up so that I have that taken care of and not sitting on my shoulder when I get my chickens, because I'm going to be doing a lot of processing next week when it comes to canning meat and canning chicken broth, chicken bone broth, and all sorts of canned meals with chicken. If those of you that don't watch this channel, the last couple of videos I talked about the fact that I broke my arm earlier this summer. It really slowed things down a little bit for me, but I am mostly recovered now. There's still some irritation there when it comes to some of the muscle damage that I have, but it's definitely getting back to normal. But I went through a ton of our prepared meals that I had canned up last year. A lot of the chicken pot pie mix, the chicken soup mix, anything that I had canned last year that made a meal easy. I used a lot of that up when my arm was broken because it was my right arm. I couldn't even peel a carrot. I couldn't cut a carrot. I couldn't even cut an onion. And it was really frustrating for me this year to not be able to cook a lot. So I loved having all of those prepared meals in those jars in my root cellar. However, I'm almost out of them, and so the chickens are coming at a perfect time, so I can get a lot of bone broth made. I loved that chicken soup that I made, and I loved the chicken pot pie mix. I want to get my garden at least kind of caught up just a little bit before all those chickens come, because we will be doing a video next time of all of the chicken processing. I'm going to tell you how I completely use the entire chicken. I will can the chicken breast and bone out a lot of the dark meat and freeze that in vacuum seal bags. And then I don't can any of the dark meat because I like eating that better, and I like the breast canned. So I'll be doing that, making the bone broth. And that's when my outdoor kitchen is so fantastic, because I can put just gigantic pots on my camp stove outside and just let it cook all day. And so I'll be canning that, and then whatever meals that we happen to come up with the cooked chicken, because once you make bone broth with a lot of the carcasses, you're going to end up having a lot of chicken that kind of falls down to the bottom. And I pick a lot of that out because it's a good chicken, so there's no sense in wasting that. I know a lot of people just strain out that, but when I use the carcass after I have it completely broken down, I want to use all of it. So I'll show you how to break down a chicken. It's so much cheaper to buy a whole chicken than it is to buy it already cut up, and it's so easy if you know how to do it. So we'll take you step by step and all the way through that. So my bees are doing really well. They are up into the top box now, and I am going to have a friend come up and teach me a little bit about bees, and we need to do that very soon because they are occupying the entire second box, and I need to figure out if it's too late in the season to get a third box on there, and I need to know what I don't know. So I want to make sure that these guys are all set for winter. I'm going to go down and see if I can get a vehicle to get all of these zucchinis to back down to the house, and then I will see you in the morning when it's cooler in the hoop house, and let's get rid of some of that blight. So these here in the front, the biggest ones here, are all of my mountain varieties. The Mountain Fresh, Mountain Merit, Mountain Rouge, and there's one other one. I don't remember which one it was, but they're all the mountain varieties. They are hybrid tomato, and they are absolutely beautiful tomatoes. They're nice, round, good meaty, good preserving tomatoes. Are great for fresh eating. A little bit of blight right there, but not too bad on these. That one right there, that really little one here, this is a volunteer from last year. Not sure what variety that is, but we'll find out, I guess, if it has time enough to grow. But doing pretty good. And it's a whole lot cooler in here right now. It's about 65 degrees this morning. It's not 106. This is the biggest thing I'm worried about right now. I gotta get this one cleared out. Get all of that blight out of there. Try not to touch the rest of the leaves with it, and then don't put any of this foliage in my compost, because that's just gonna live in there. But these are definitely a nice disease-resistant tomato, and you can tell that because there's very little blight over here, if any. I've got strings up here for my trellises, and you can see that even some of it that I didn't trellis, they just grew right up into the cattle panels, and they're kind of trellising themselves. So it's another handy reason to have the cattle panel hoop house. So let's get this place cleaned up. It's hard to tell sometimes where one plant starts and another one begins. These guys are thick. Gotta go get some more plant ties and get these guys tied up. Yeah, that one's gonna die really quickly. So I got some plant ties here. Just gonna see if I can get some of these guys tied up a little bit better, because they're getting kind of heavy. They're nice long ones too, so I don't have to tie everybody up really tight. Just give them a little bit of support. I pulled a lot of these out of here from last year off my dead plants, and they're actually still good, so they do last for a few seasons, as long as you collect them. The hardest part is not getting these guys to break, because they're so heavy. Just gonna kind of tie these guys together. This is where it's nice to have a tomato cage. You got a lot more room to deal with than just one string, but I don't want to spend money on 60 some tomato cages. As long as these guys are off the ground, they're good. Just give them some support. Some more blight that I can get rid of here. It's gotten pretty thick in here. I'm having trouble finding all of the spots I need to trim out of here. Clean that up. A lot easier to water them also when they're not on the ground. And pick them. Good solid spot on this stem. I can get these guys tied up. Makes it a lot easier to trim them and take care of them. He's talkative this morning. So we're just using regular tent stakes and this string right here. What we do is just make a knot in the bottom here and pound that in with a hammer really deep into the ground so they don't come popping back out. Dan had to do this for me earlier this year because I couldn't even hammer a hammer, but I could do that now. Make a good knot. Figure out where you want to put it. About right there. About that long. There. Get it deep into the ground and then come on up and tie to your cattle panel, and then you can make it nice and snug. You don't want it really loose. You want it nice and tight. Almost so you can guitar string tight. You can tie it up top and then hammer it down too into the ground, but then it's not as tight. This is the guy that's got to get up off the ground. This guy up there. Get him off the ground, and then I have room to walk in here too. It's getting pretty tight in the aisle here. Tie him up. This one's so heavy it looks like it's almost straining the plant a little bit. So I got room on this string that I just put up to get him over here also. If you place your strings just right, you can get multiple plants tied up without having to have too many strings. Get him underneath this spot down here so he has something to hold on to, because if you just do the long skinny part of the stalk there, it just slides up the stalk. But I got it underneath one of these other branches, so give it something to grip onto. There, that's a lot better. Maybe. I think it's gonna stay. That one's pretty heavy. We can get down here and get these out of here. All right, so I got a few more to tie up here, but it looks much better. I can actually walk through here now without stepping on them. Everybody's up off the ground for the most part. And I've gotten all of the blight, I should say most of it, taken off of this side. Especially these guys here. These were the ones that were really bad. So they look a whole lot better. And really all I did was kind of delay the inevitable. The blight is going to spread. But we slowed it down a little bit. So, and it only took less than an hour to get these guys tied up and all that blight cut off. So just got to finish up this side. This guy's on the ground. I got to pull him up yet, but finish off that side then, and we'll be done in here for now. At least until these guys start to ripen up. Beautiful tomatoes. I love these mountain varieties. I've not been disappointed with them at all. So it's actually been a couple of weeks since I filmed the first part of this video, and I wanted to show you a little bit of an update of what it looks like in the hoop house right now. Show you what the difference of a couple weeks can make when you're trying to mitigate your blight, and how long you can actually extend your tomato plants for. So let's take a look. So there's a little bit of blight, but by cutting it off, the plants have actually lasted a lot longer. And I've actually got some that are ripe. This is that one that was looking really bad, and it's not looking so bad now. And this is one of those yellow stripe, and this is the Wild Boar. It's a really good, sweet variety. If you've never tried those yellow variety of tomatoes, you should, because they're really, really good. A lot less acid than the red ones. And these are those super sauces. Look how big those are. I've got one over there that's just about ready to be picked. So these guys are looking a little thin on the foliage, but they're actually producing pretty decent, and they're determinate. So once they set their fruit, then that's how many you're going to get. And then looking a little rougher on this side in some spots, but for the most part, my crop is going to be ready before I have to worry about any more of the blight. These are my mountain varieties. Just starting to ripen up. I got a couple in there. I got to dig down in there and get them. And then, look what I found. Tomato worms. I have not had tomato worms in this garden since I started it. And man, one day, and they just completely got the whole tops, and they got, well, at least a half dozen tomatoes too. Dan was going through here picking them off, and got all the bad tomatoes off. Found all the worms. I haven't found any more on here. But this is what it looks like right now. So I'm going to pick a few of these. Actually, a lot more ripe ones down here. And then these, oh, they're a zebra. I think the striped zebra. It's like it's a cherry tomato. They're pretty fun. And I've got a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes. I gotta dig down in there, but I gotta get a bowl before I have a handful of little grape tomatoes. These little yellow ones. I don't remember the name, and I used a permanent marker on my label, and it still wore off, so I don't know what they are, but if I can figure it out, I'll let you know. But these guys are really good. They're like eating candy. I love these things. So I'm going to start picking some tomatoes. I don't have a whole lot of them ripe yet. I've got just enough that I've been eating some sandwiches and eating some fresh, but I haven't been able to preserve any of them yet. I've got a few other things going on right now. We've got a broody hen, and I'm hoping to hatch out some eggs. She has about 2 more weeks left of sitting, and she hasn't moved so far. I haven't seen her off of those eggs the whole time since I stopped picking eggs up from that spot. So I'm really excited to see if that actually works. I had a friend hatch out some of the eggs that I gave her from my chickens, and she hatched out quite a few of them. So I know that they are fertile, and hopefully let's see what Mama can do. I am kind of glad the tomatoes aren't ready yet because we leave for Isle Royale in just a couple of days, and I didn't want them all ripe while I was gone because I wasn't going to be here. We're only going to be gone for about 6 days, a day driving there and back, and then 4 days on the island. So I'm really super excited about this. We're going to take you guys with us. I've never been there before. I've always wanted to go, and Dan's not been there either. So it's going to be new for both of us, and we're going with friends of ours. So it's going to be fantastic all around. I just know it. I'm not worried about the tomatoes getting too ripe while we're gone because the nights have been really cold, and I have the feeling I'm going to end up picking most of these green and to ripen up in the house. So I'm not worried about them being too all getting ready while we're gone. And we have somebody house sitting for us that likes tomatoes. So I says, if there's some that are going to be bad before I get back, then just pick them and enjoy them. So sorry it's been so long since I did a video. I hope you guys enjoyed at least a little bit of an update, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.